Okay, so as it was just said there, I'm a third-year student at the moment, and I am evaluating the Breaking the Cycle programme that's by Chelsea Foundation, running in Feltham Young Offenders as part of my dissertation. So firstly, I had to look at what the problem was, and for me there was two things that sort of stood out, and that's desistance from crime and reoffending. Essentially, desistance from crime is staying away from criminal activity for a long period of time, and this seems to be a big issue. And at the moment, there's 65% of children that reoffend within a year of release. And with that, there's some challenges. So I've put up a few up here. So firstly, it's the stigma of a criminal record, and that stigma then gives people a lack of employment opportunities and a lack of positive relationships, and then goes into social exclusion. So these challenges are really, really difficult for people coming out back into what we would call the big bad world. And it becomes a real challenge for them. So essentially what Chelsea have done is they've realised this problem, and they've designed a programme, and they call it Breaking the Cycle of Youth Violence. And it's put into two steps. The first step is pre-release. So this is all the stuff that happens inside the prison. And essentially they work with 15 to 18-year-old young offenders who are coming to the end of their sentence. And the programme's a 4-day-a-week programme that happens for 8 weeks. And they have 4 practical sessions and 1 classroom session a week. And within the practical, they do a lot of football and futsal. But then the vocational qualification that they get in the theory side is the sports leaders qualification. And they essentially use 5 skills that they can then transfer when they're released on the outside world. And these 5 key skills are communication, self-belief, self-management, teamwork and problem solving. And they run, they do all of these 5 key skills along the programme. So yeah, they're embedded into the practice. And then the second step is post-release, and this is what Chelsea call the through the gate process. And this is where they meet up with the offenders after they've been released from prison, and Chelsea work alongside their caseworkers, the youth offending team that they're associated to, and their families, and they try their best to make sure that they have enough support on the outside to stop them from reoffending. And there's a link with an organisation called Key for Life that they have, and Key for Life actually go into the prison through the pre-release stuff. They actually brought horses into the prison quite recently and did some equine therapy with them. But then alongside that, outside the prison, they can help with employment opportunities and try and get them back into education or whatever their goals are as the young people. So my evaluation process has gone into sort of 4 stages. So firstly, it was the policy review. So this is like the grey materials, the bid for the programme in the beginning, what involvement the stakeholders have within the programmes, and it was just looking at all of that and making sure that I fully understood what the programme's goals were. Then stage 2 was the actual practice, and that's on how the programme is designed to really bring out the specific goals of the rehabilitation and reoffending programme and how they play out in the specific context. And then stage 3 was the sort of data collection, which was the realist interviews. So I actually interviewed the 2 staff members that work directly in the prison. I interviewed the Chelsea staff member that was involved in writing the bid, and I've also interviewed one of the prison officers that works in the gym. And then over the period of time that I've been in the prison, I've been able to observe the practice, so what actually happens within the delivery and all of the processes that happen. And then some informal discussions with some of the pupils, the participants on the course, and really got to know what their experiences are of this course and how they feel the time on the course has really benefited them. And then stage 4 is the continual adaptive cycles. So this is the part where it kind of tells the story of sort of what seems to be working and what's not so good. So North 2017 suggests that goals provide the touchstone of understanding effectiveness. Now, effectiveness is really important because each of these layers might have different goals. So for some of the young offenders, it might be just to get fit, or it might be that they want to change their behaviour. And then if you look a little bit higher, there's the Chelsea staff and the Key for Life staff. And although I'm still going through my interview transcriptions and that at the moment, but sort of things that I've sort of, some themes that are coming out already are that the people that work with them really, really care about providing opportunities to the young people. And then above that, you've got the Chelsea Foundation staff that are involved in writing the bid, and their goals might be something to do with providing a community programme to benefit the community. And they're doing that within a prison, which I think is really unique and really special. And then similarly with the prison staff, they're very much like the Chelsea staff. It's really about the young people and providing them opportunities within the prison, something different, something to get them really engaged. And then you look at the higher part of that, and that's the HMP and government. And for them, it's about, again, providing opportunities for the young people to really get that number of reoffending down. From my observations, the early findings that I've found is that policies and procedures is a big thing. And this is the reality of prison. There's a lot of policies and procedures that have to be followed, and that can't be changed. But actually, it really is a challenge. So, for instance, just entering the prison, there's a number of things that you have to go through on a daily basis, and that can take up to an hour or maybe even more to get through to even get into the session, and that eats up into the session time. So if you can imagine, you've got prisoners, they're ready to go, they're ready to play football, and they're waiting and they're getting bored, and they really struggle with their behaviour on a normal day, and they're having to wait. So you can imagine this process taking quite a long time really impacts how successful a session can be. Then you have the delivery of the programme, the classroom versus practical. This can be quite an issue as well. We're expecting pupils that haven't been able to get through on mainstream education to sit in a classroom for 3 hours. Although it's only once a week, 3 hours is a long time for them to sit down. And then you've got managing relationships. There's a lot of key stakeholders that are involved in this programme. So that kind of goes back to the goals. Does everyone's goals align? Are they the same goals? Do we maybe need to change them goals to make sure that this programme can be as effective as possible? And then there's the through the gate process. This is proving to be quite a challenging thing because there's 2 staff members that are currently working on the programme. And they're expected to be in the prison for a certain amount of hours a week, but then also support them on the outside. Now, these kids can be from anywhere in the country. So if, for instance, somebody who's just left is from Reading. Now, if they have to get to Reading, but also have to be in the prison for a certain number of hours, it can be quite a difficult task to make sure that they're out there to support. So my future recommendations would be to have more resources available, more staff to get the maximum impact of the through the gate process, but also to maybe integrate the practical and classroom sessions to make sure that they are engaged as much as they can be within that. So potentially doing an hour of practical and half an hour of theory within one session. Thank you very much.